Let me give you the experience of playing High Grenadier. I started the game, and it went directly into a map. No voice-acted cutscene despite it being on CD-ROM. No scenario selection despite it being a strategy game. Just straight into it. And then the commands don't make any sense. The interface doesn't work any way that you'd expect. Combat does weird stuff. And then I go, okay, I'm not getting this. I need to check the manual or get some help. And as it turns out, my experience with High Grenadier is the same experience that pretty much everyone playing it got. Everybody notes that the interface is terrible, and nothing works like you'd expect it to. And that's just trying to play the game. If you actually play the game, it gets worse. There's a good case to be made that High Grenadier is the worst strategy game on the PC Engine. And if you wanted a copy to try for yourself, well then you're in luck. I might have been talking about expensive games recently, but High Grenadier is notably cheap among PC Engine games, because you can still find sealed copies for 1,000 yen. In the end, I wound up having to go to my fallback plan for adventure games, watching a video playthrough, and then copying their moves. And that's how I learned to beat the game. Beating the game takes 15 minutes. I wasn't watching a speedrun, by the way. High Grenadier is a strategy game that consists of a single scenario, that map that you're looking at right now, and the strategy to beat it is so trivial that you, and I do mean you, watching this video right now, can beat the game in a matter of minutes. In fact, I did a speedrun of High Grenadier myself, and I beat the entire game in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. From the perspective of a strategy game, that is not good. Okay, let's talk about this disaster piece. The plot is that there's two warring factions and they shoot at each other. No, seriously, that's all the plot anybody seems to figure out. At the start of the game, the entire map is held by the villainous yellow military, and your heroic red military holds only a single fortress in the upper left-hand corner. But victory can be theirs if they take over the yellow command in the lower right-hand corner. High Grenadier uses a node-based mapping system where you move your forces along the lines to different spots, basically the nodes of the map. From a game design perspective, this is done to eliminate a lot of empty space, and the length of the line would indicate how easy it is to traverse that distance. Now, I don't think that necessarily holds up here in High Grenadier, but that's the concept. The nodes in this case are factories, I think. I didn't see any cities. And as you capture them, you'll get more resources per turn that are building units back at your home base. You don't have any control over what's getting built. The best you can do is guide things a little bit by choosing factory upgrades after you capture one. High Grenadier is a standard turn-based game. It's one of those where you move all of your forces, do all of your attacks, perform any adjustments to your armies, and then hand off control to the computer player, who will do the same thing for their side before passing it back to you. There are 6 commands along the bottom of the screen, though you really only use 3 of them in your turn. First, there's the unit handling menu, where you can assign troops to different generals, and bring other generals into play. You start out with 3 generals at your home base, and it's already produced a full rack of units, so you'll need to assign troops to generals. If you're beating the game the trivial way, divide everybody up among the first 2 generals. The third guy doesn't need anything. Some of your generals are being held captive at different factories, and you'll free them as you move through the map. When you have an idle general like that, you can go back to this menu, pick the person you want to give troops to, and then assign them the idle forces from around your base. The next command is to attack. You can move 1 node away and attack whatever factory or army is there. You select which generals to go along with you, and if you're doing the game the fast way, you want to move generals 1 and 2. And then when the battle begins, you've got 4 options for tactics. Mainly you want to just use the attack option, though you could also fortify or retreat. When you choose to attack, then you have to pick which general you're going to attack. And if there is no general, then you select the bottom option because you're just attacking the forces that are there without a leader. Every general has different ability ratings that boost the forces underneath them, and your first two generals are relatively powerful, so they can pretty much steamroll everybody. You have to defeat whatever general is in the factory, plus whatever garrison forces are there, and then the factory will be yours. You can then assign points to upgrade the factory if you want to. Your options are to focus on engine, weapons, speed, or sensors. Choose weapons and speed, and favor weapons heavily. Something to note about the combat is that it does not end until one side is destroyed or has retreated. So each army will do a round of fighting, and then it will go back to the menu where you pick your orders. This just stays in a loop until the fight ends, which if you're facing a very high defense, low attack enemy, then it can take a while. The next menu option is to move units around the whole map, and they can travel across any connected part under your control. So the yellow forces at the start of the game can jump from their home base all the way to your starting base. Fortunately, the AI is incredibly passive. They just don't want to attack. So by leaving your third general at your home base, you're protected for the entire game. Along the bottom row, you've got the information button, which will let you see details of locations that are totally irrelevant. The system menu that will let you save and load your progress in this game that takes less than 10 minutes to complete. And finally, the end turn button to pass things over to the computer. When you capture the yellow base, the game ends instantly. You get High Grenadier's only cutscene, soldiers noticing that the war is over. Over the end credits, a terrible pop song plays, and you get pictures of all of the generals, along with some information about what happened to them after the war. I'm sure everyone was really invested in those characters that only existed as a picture and stat block. And that's High Grenadier. There does seem to be more to the game systems than that, but why engage with it when you don't have to? You could very slowly build up massive armies and plan out which general has which forces and where they support each other, or you can just walk forward and end the game. Needless to say, High Grenadier is not a popular game in Japan. In fact, it's best known for being trivially easy to beat. And of course, my own feelings are obvious at this point, but I guess the question becomes, is High Grenadier the worst strategy game on the PC Engine? And of course, I don't know that for sure yet. I've got about another 400 games to go. It is the worst strategy game I've played on the PC Engine so far, and it ranks down there among the worst I've ever played on any platform. Though I can think of 2 or 3 that I'd put below it. So High Grenadier is just garbage as a game. Absolutely confusing to engage with on its level, and trivially easy to break if you just don't play it that way.